Hey, folks, welcome back to another episode of Reaction Bite Radio with your host, Kevin Postwaite, and your co host.
Julie Price.
We are joined today by our friend Corey Jeffers from Katyakers of Ohio Tournament Trail. Corey, you can tell us about what you all do and have going on because it's different than what I'm used to.
Yeah, on the catfish side of things, it's way different than on the bass side of things. So when Julie reached out and talked about us coming on here and talking about it, I was surprised. A lot of times bass fishermen don't like to mingle with us cat fishermen. So I was excited to take the opportunity to present our case to you guys and show you that we're not bad people.
No, we listen. I love the catfishing stuff because we're always amazed when you go on the river. There's a lot of catfishing tournaments now on the Ohio River
Uh-huh.
and the Kanawha River, and you see these spreads that these guys have in these boats. And I think, man, I could never keep that many lines straight to save my life. And it's getting to be bigger and bigger all the time, and it's impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe I'm out of the loop of things, but I've never heard a bass fisherman say anything bad about cat fishermen.
Mm-mm.
Comes into play where it comes into play over here is guys like to poke and prod, right? Like so in Ohio, we can use any fish that we catch on rod and reel for bait. There's people will talk about using bass for bait and then it's just over. That conversation just takes us downhill really fast. So we won't have that conversation. I will let you know
No.
I don't use largemouth bass for bait, but I'm not gonna say I don't know people who do.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I guess bass fishermen get very defensive over the bass, but other than that, probably
No, it's all good.
we don't want no drama on the podcast.
Yeah, but that's the reason why.
That's yeah. See, that's news to me. It's not a conversation I've ever heard over here, but I don't know.
I
I guess you learn
actually
something new every day.
Robinson, is it Robertson? Matt Robertson? The guy,
Roberts.
the mullet guy.
Yeah.
Him and I were conversing back on Facebook the other day, actually, about him coming up here and fishing with me.
Well,
Because
nice.
he's like,
Wow.
man, he's like catfish in a kayak. I'm like, dude, anytime. I got two extras. Anytime.
Hey, if he comes, holler at me. I'll come and do a live episode.
Lord only knows who even knows if that's him on his Facebook. But he was actually catfishing in his post, and I just commented on it. I said, I posted a picture. I think it was like a 54-pound fish in the kayak. I said, man, I said, catfishing's fun, but not until you get out of that boat and try it this way.
You know, he would. I think he's that kind of guy. Plus, he's sponsored by Ugly Stick, and that's like the old time catfish pole. I mean, that was
That's where everybody started with an
ugly
ugly
stick
stick.
and catfishing. That's been yeah. I was gonna say everybody started with an ugly stick back in the day. So they had that whole. Remember the commercial where they had the guy, the big strong guy that had it bent and touched end to end.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, unbreakable.
That's everybody's go-to ad now. Everybody, whether it's AI or their rods actually do it. Everybody's rods, they're crazy. They took the old ugly stick pose and go eye to butt and be just fine.
Yeah, it's wild. So tell us about the Katyakers of Ohio Trail.
So what we're doing is here in Ohio, obviously catfishing has been the fastest growing sport. Probably not just in Ohio, I would say in the country. Fishing wise, catfishing is booming. It's an industry that came out of nowhere. Guys have been catfishing forever. There used to be a couple guys in John boats on the Ohio River. And today you're seeing tournaments that have 200, 300, 400 people in them. As catfishing has evolved and has grown, what we've seen is there's a lot of people that still want to do it in those John boats or the smaller boats that don't have an adequate live well. And for everybody in the catfishing tournament scene, conservation is huge. For many years, there have been people taking fish out of the rivers and selling them to pay lakes, and it has just decimated our catfish population in Ohio, along the Ohio River, pretty much everywhere in the Ohio Valley, where those populations of catfish have been, I mean, just gone. They're not there anymore. Where in the 80s and 90s, 50, 60, 70-pound fish were a regular on the Ohio River. If you go catch a couple 30-pounders now, you're having a great night. We obviously have to tell everybody, conservation is what's most important to us. Our fishery has sustained such an impact from that. We need to do everything in our power to make sure our fish stay alive. So a lot of these tournament trails, they'll actually require a 50-gallon live well, some kind of aeration system, oxygen. The tournament directors are putting out all of the rules and regulations to make sure we can take care of these fish. But the problem is, how do you turn away a guy and a 7-year-old son at the ramp that show up with coolers? The cooler can hold 50 gallons of water. They got bubblers on both sides, so they're aerated. We all know it's not the ideal system, but it meets all the regulations. How do you turn the guy away? So a new thing that's come to catfishing in probably the last 3 or 4 years, we watch the bass guys do it. the length series. We watched those guys go out measuring bass, spent them on an app, and I don't know who. There was a couple people involved, a guy named Dan, Mike. They said, well, we can do this for catfishing. So they started out on like a nationwide, all across the country. Anybody can fish these tournaments. Well, that doesn't work because Louisiana and Virginia, Alabama will smoke Ohio in those tournaments every time. We just don't have the fish they have.
Same with bass. I mean, they're bigger in the South
Yeah.
and the North.
So as all of this started regionalizing, right? We started finding out, these guys on the East Coast should have their own scene. These guys in the South should have their own scene. But what we're finding is Ohio is really like the heart of kayak catfishing. I don't know why, but we have more kayak catfishermen here in the state of Ohio than I would bet anywhere in the country. There's a national trail put on by online catfishing, and when these tournaments are in Alabama or Missouri, Texas, Louisiana, Virginia, when these tournaments are traveling, we're finding that a core group of 6 to 7 anglers from Ohio are going to every one of these tournaments. Ohio is almost always overrepresented in every state we go to. With knowing that, one of my good friends, he owns Katyakers. Just a disclaimer, I don't own Katyakers. I'm not the one putting the tournaments on. We have an advisory board. I'm on the advisory board. And one of my roles is promotion. Because I spent time on the National Catfish Tour in a boat, and I amassed a following on TikTok and Facebook. I did really well promoting the last trail that I was a part of. So I came on as a monetary sponsor and as the promoter. That's basically my job.
Awesome.
So we all got together and said, if we have this core group of fishermen in Ohio that are willing to travel all over the country to fish, why would we not come up with something right here in the state of Ohio? Because we have good fisheries. We have arguably the best channel cat fishery in the country in the Sandusky Bay. You can go up there and catch 25-pound channel cats. It's crazy. They're giant up there. We have one of the best blue cat fisheries in an inland lake that you can find in the Hoover Reservoir, where you can constantly go catch 30 and 40-pound fish. We have the Ohio River, which has good fish in it. You can catch good flatheads, good blue cats. We've got Knox Lake that has giant flatheads in it. So we said, if the catfishing is going to be that good in the state of Ohio, why would we not put something on to attract people from Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Kentucky, Michigan, and this core group of anglers that we have in Ohio should be here fishing, because the National Trail is only one tournament a month. Outside of that, we're all just sitting around twiddling our thumbs, wondering what we're going to do.
Yeah, nice.
So, what is the entry fee? Well, let me back up. I think it's very interesting looking at the flyer. You can fish from the bank, a boat, or a kayak. We often talk about the barriers to entry. Bass fishing, and I'm sure catfishing also, is expensive. Fishing poles, tackle, all that stuff. So I think that's really awesome that, if you can fish from the bank, there goes a huge barrier to entry. It opens it up to more people that don't have the financial means to join something that you've got to spend $1,000 just to be able to show up.
Absolutely. And actually, to go a step further and kind of touch more on that, there is another trail in Ohio that's kind of doing the same thing we are, geared more towards the boats and the weight division style. That's where they are going to pull their most competitors are going to be in a typical boat. It's the Ohio Catfish Club, but they actually went a step further than what we're doing. They actually have a bank only division. So guys will show up and you're only fishing against other bank anglers. Because even in our trail, fishing on the bank is awesome, but there's only a few lakes in Ohio where you stand a chance. If you're fishing from the bank of the Ohio River, you just cannot compete with us guys that can be out on the river and moving.
Yeah.
Right. But it's still, you talked about somebody showing up with their 7-year-old kid. It's something a lot of us go to tournaments and oftentimes know that that particular day we don't really have a chance to win, but it's still fun to compete.
I've showed up to tournaments with that in mind. I'm not going to be able to compete, and I won.
Gives more opportunity for people, that's for sure. So
And that's what it's all about, is opening it up to that father and 7-year-old son that want to go fishing for the day. And, $100 is a lot of money. But, if you have the means that you can pay $100 to get into the tournament, the prizes this year with all the sponsorship money we have are giant. Each tournament, before anybody signs up, is already guaranteeing $2,000. We pay 60% to first place, 30% to second place, 10% for big fish, up to 15 anglers. And then we add a third place, and at 25 anglers, we add a fourth place. And if we get to 50, 60, 70 anglers, fourth place is paying a lot of money.
Yeah, that's great.
If you don't care, I'll post a picture of the flyer on the cover photo because the payouts are
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah, they are. So if someone wants to sign up for your tournaments, what steps do they need to take?
We're actually working with an app developer right now. We have not finalized this. We were going to use the Fishing Chaos app, which I'm sure as bass fishermen you guys are probably familiar with. The
Yeah,
Fishing Chaos app is really geared towards bass fishing, as is Tourney X, as is Fish Donkey. That's what they were made for. So we are
right.
working with an app developer right now. We don't have it finalized yet, but we are actually in the middle of creating a catfish specific tournament platform. There's going to be certain features that are catfish specific. I don't want to get into too much detail because it's not launched yet. But once that app is done, which we're expecting that to be within the next 3 weeks, a month, we are going to announce that we are using that platform on our Facebook page. Once we have that done, you can get on the website, save the app to your phone. Everything will be done through the app. Then once you signed up, all the tournaments and everything will be on there. You'll add money to the app. You'll use the app, pay for each tournament.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Easy. Makes it easy.
That's what we're trying to get for. Easy and simple.
I think it's really neat. I don't know what else to ask.
Well, one of the questions I have is the bass fishermen use a what's it called? The trough, right?
Hmm.
Measuring board. How big is your all's measuring board? Because that thing's got to be huge, right? Like what
Yep.
do you do?
Yep. Right now, most tournaments spec what's called a muskie bumper. The fish bumper company came out with a muskie bumper several years ago. They have many different versions of it. They have a regular, a bump and go, and the fat boy. Most of us catfishermen prefer the fat boy because it's wider and all of them are 60 inches long, but they have a hinge in the middle. So it folds down to 30
Okay.
inches, which for a bass fisherman is still like, who's carrying around a 30-inch board, you know?
Right, right. So, okay, so it's hinged. That's nice to know because I
Yep.
wondered. I was like, where are they carrying this thing? It's just strapping it to the kayak. You just measured along the kayak. I don't know.
We talked to other people maybe about producing something more catfish specific, but everybody's
Yeah.
like, we can't figure out how to hinge it. So Muskie Bumper, their design is great. People can't figure out how to compete with them. And at the moment,
Yes.
they're really the only most wide used board. There are some tournament trails that allow you to use catch boards and things like that. The catch boards get really hard to read when they're covered in slime. They're not meant for that.
Okay. Second question is okay. I got a several.
I got nothing but time.
What's the biggest length catfish you have caught in a kayak?
The biggest length catfish I've caught in a kayak was only like 48 inches. The biggest length catfish I've ever caught was 66,
Whoa.
Ah,
but that was on a boat, so that doesn't count. We were in Louisiana. It was actually Louisiana state record. There's a
wow.
whole conservation story with that because the DNR wouldn't come and certify it. They wanted me to kill it and put it on ice. I chose not to
Wow.
and put it back in the river.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but in a tournament, I think the biggest fish I ever caught's like 44 inches. Biggest fish I ever caught outside, just in a kayak, is 48, which depending on what type of fish, that could be a 50-pound fish, it could be a 28-pound fish. All fish are different depending on if they're in their river, if they're in a lake, if they're in a creek.
Yeah. So for you all, it doesn't matter no matter what type of catfish. It's just catfish, right?
And yeah, it's just a trail.
Blue
Yep, just a
cat.
catfish
Yeah.
shrimp.
Okay.
Blue cat,
So
flathead, or channel cat.
all right. Interesting. So do you go one biggest fish or do you do number of fish? How is it scored in a catfish tournament? Because bass toys is like the longest five.
So on our side, it's kind of all over the board. People just do whatever they want. Like our trail is going to be the longest 5. A lot of the other trails are the longest 3. We always have a big fish side pot, which is always 10% of the main pot. It just depends on where you go, but it seems like throughout the country it's 5 or 3 seems to be what it is. We're going to do 5. What's nice about the link tournament, and this is like the selling point to the guys that do the weight tournaments, in the weight tournaments we have slot limits. You're only allowed to have
Yes.
2 fish over a certain size, 1 fish under. In a kayak, I can weigh in 5 50-inch fish because I don't have them in my possession or put them right back in the water.
So when you hook a giant catfish, I've very rarely kayak bass fished, but when I have, sometimes you like hook a muskie or something, the thing pulls you around all over the place. What do you do with the catfish in a kayak? Do you just let it pull you around everywhere, or do you tie up to something? logistically, how does that work? I mean, if you got a 50-pound catfish, that thing can drag you forever.
It depends on the method of fishing you're using in a kayak. If you're spot locked and anchored, the fish can't move you. Because I mean, on mine, I have a bona fide XTR 130, which is the biggest kayak out right now. It's huge. It's basically a John boat. If I'm on spot lock with a 24-volt, 80-pound thrust motor in a kayak, that fish
You're
can't
good.
move me. But the extra kayaks, I built 2 extra kayaks to take people fishing, and both of those had a 12-volt motor. If you hook into a 40-pound fish with a 12-volt motor, you're moving. I took my buddy Jack one time. It was like his second time fishing, and it's real early in the year. And you know, we drag boards like you do for walleye. We drag
Okay.
baits with planer boards on them, just like you do for walleye. That's the most common way to fish lakes. So I've got Jack, and I'm watching this guy. Dude, he is just all over. He's flying by me like, you're going too fast. Like, I'm yelling like, dude, the fish are not biting at 1.2 mile an hour. The water is 40 degrees. You got to slow down, you know? So I'm on the phone with our other buddy who's fishing with us, and I see Jack comes flying by me. And I'm looking at him, and I'm on the phone like, this guy, dude, he's never going to catch a fish. I look back, here comes Jack backwards. I'm like, oh, he's hooked
Yeah.
into something. This fish is just, dude, he's taking him for a ride backwards. He's freaking out. He doesn't know what to do. For us experienced guys with a 12-volt motor, you have your trolling motor set on the heading button set. You've got it set on heading. You've got it set on a speed. And we just know when we hook into a fish, you bump the speed up 4. That way the trolling motor pulls you through the fish.
Yeah. Okay.
But there are times that you get pulled around like you have no motor on your boat.
Yeah, that's wild. That'd be something.
Yeah,
Just
It's
thing
fun.
pulling you around all over.
It is a
Yeah.
lot of fun. You haven't fought a fish until you're fighting the fish with your boat. That's when you
Yeah,
know that you're
that's
in it.
I think I'd fall in. I think I would.
just freak out and fall in.
No, I would spill the kayak. I would be dumped in the water, and then I don't know what would happen. That just seems like so much.
Chaos.
You
It does seem
know,
like chaos.
you know how chaotic a
Control.
fishing day with me is anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting.
It is controlled chaos. I'll tell you what, I've got 2 kayaks. You guys should come fish Hoover in May. I can guarantee you a 30-pound fish if you come fish Hoover in May. In a
Wow.
kayak.
I'm not saying no.
Right. Yeah. Definitely not saying that.
He gets mad at me during bass tournaments because I'm happy to catch a fish. I don't care what kind of fish it is. And I notoriously catch drum, which are also very, very slimy, and catfish. And he's like, do not get that slimy fish on the deck of my boat. And I always
Somehow
do.
it manages every time.
We try to
Every time.
scoop it up with the net and use the pliers to get the hook out, and it always ends up flopping on the boat, and
Yeah,
then there's
somehow I end up with a catfish or a drum on the deck of my bass boat every time.
slime in the
That's
carpet.
right.
He,
Yeah.
he,
Gotta
Power
spray it out.
washer's taking right out.
yeah, but he's, I mean, all those things get slimy. I don't
Man, that's
know.
interesting. So kayak fishing, how many poles do you usually take for
3-pole limit. I read
is it a
it.
3-pole limit? Okay.
And that
'Cause
tournament's a
I'm
3-pole
thinking
limit.
about
Those
how that,
spreads you see on the river, though,
yeah.
I have those same spreads when I'm on the river. I'll be fishing 10 rods on the river out of the back of my kayak.
Yeah, that's wild.
And a kayak. We've never seen a kayak
I've
with
never
a
seen a
rod set
kayak
up
do
like
it.
that.
No, but that's impressive.
We
I'm
can't
always
do it in our
impressed with those.
tournaments. Our tournaments are a 3-rod limit. But if I'm out fun fishing, I for sure have 8 to 10 rods on my kayak.
See, I would just have such a mess. I really would. There's an art to that, isn't there? Somehow.
You
How do you
have to
keep
know
those
how to
things
stage
straight?
your baits.
There you go. See,
Otherwise, if one
there's a word for it.
like
You aging your bait. I had no
when
idea.
you fan cast your stuff out, you got to go one long, one short, one long, one short. Because if you don't, and the fish takes it and goes sideways, you want him to go under the one that sits beside, over the next one, and then under. You know, because if it goes over that short one, it's no problem. If it goes under the short one, you got to tangle. So you
Yeah.
definitely got to know how to stage your baits out there. Because if you don't, it can be a mess.
Yeah, see, for me, it would be a mess every time because I would forget
We're
which one was
learning.
where. Yeah,
We're
we are
learning.
learning. That is cool.
I'll bring you
That is
guys to the dark side. Just come fish one time.
Oh, you know what? I told Julie there's a lot of bass fishermen I know that love to catfish. It's like a thing because they're a lot of fun. Bill Dance, the famous bass fisherman of all time, loves
Yeah.
to catfish on the Tennessee River.
He pitches in some massive tournaments. I've actually met him at one tournament.
Yeah. So he big into the catfishing.
I know a lot of bass fishermen are into crappie
Yeah.
crappie fishing also,
It's
but
not always a one trick pony. Fish
Right. I feel like bass fishing and crappie fishing are the same.
I think deep down, bass fishermen, tournament fishermen especially, they're really just degenerate gamblers that just really want to go. And if we can just make a reason to go fish and gamble on it, we're good.
I mean, that's what it is.
It really is.
That's
Fishing,
everybody, man.
It is.
it's glorified gambling.
Yeah. You're just gambling on yourself, trying to, catch fish.
Don't say
But
that too
it's
loud. They'll
fun.
start
I'm
making the
certainly
gambling
not
commission.
judging. I said no
Say.
drama on the podcast. People will be
Yeah.
calling us out for saying
Yeah,
they're
just
gambling.
That's true.
Gambling Commission of Ohio is going to give me a call tomorrow.
The game commission or
The
whatever.
bass fisherman being like, "You said I was a gambler."
I did
That's
a
a
gambler.
Yeah, yeah, a
Yeah.
gambler in the gambler boat.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I can
Oh,
see
God.
the headlines now. MLF fisherman Kevin says that bass fishermen are degenerate gamblers. It's going to be all over
Yeah.
the news tomorrow.
He's not MLF. He's
No, Bassmaster.
Bass Nation.
Bass
That's-
Master.
Well, pretty much anything.
We're pretty low.
We're low on the totem pole, but that's all right.
West Virginia was actually the first place that I won a championship on national television.
Oh,
I
nice.
won the King Cat tournament down there in 2023 on national TV.
Cool.
See, I didn't even know there was a King Cat tournament on national TV in West Virginia.
Yeah, I think King Cat's what they do on the river, right? Like that's what's all over the river a lot
They
of
go
times.
all over the country. Yeah,
Yeah.
they go all over the country. It's presented by Cabela's and Bass Pro.
See, I think people just get in their little bubble and
They do.
don't know what's going on in other arms of the same thing, if that makes sense.
One thing that's always been crazy to me is, you've got bass fishermen who like don't intermingle with cat fishermen, who won't intermingle with crappie fishermen, who won't intermingle with walleye. We're all fishermen, Listen, take me walleye fishing any day of the week. I like walleye fishing just as much as I like cat fishing. I just chose for my professional trail to follow catfishing because at the time it was the easiest to get into and the fastest growing. I mean, if it's got scales or gills, I'm happy to catch it.
Yeah. Look at the is it the Lindners from up north? Probably the greatest multi-species anglers ever to live. Al,
Right.
Ron, all the Lindner brothers, great fishermen, and they fish about everything.
With catfishing, I will say, I mean, I've been on the biggest stages in the country fishing before. There are guys who are phenomenal. Some of the top names in catfishing, like Mike Mitchell and Donnie and Lonnie Fountain. Those guys are some of the nicest guys. They'll stand around, they'll talk to you. Mike Mitchell one time gave me bait. I got to a tournament, couldn't find bait. I called, I said he bait. His son had some bait for me. Those guys, what I've always said is if you're going to get to now, we don't have a Kevin Van Dam. We got Bill Dance, the actual Bill Dance, but we don't have anybody who right now is as popular as Bill Dance was, say, in the 90s. The catfishing hasn't evolved to that stage yet. But when you get to that stage, you got to be able to still be personable, right? You're still a fisherman, still an outdoorsman. There's going to be kids that walk up to you. One thing I did a couple times when we would go on trips to go fishing, I would call ahead of time, like Bass Pro or Cabela's or whatever we were going to pass. And I would say, hey, I'm coming in town. Not a known, like I'm not Kevin Van Dam. I'm a professional cat fisherman. This is what we're doing. If you guys have an opportunity to, I'd like to come in and just put on a clinic. I would call months ahead, And I ended up doing it twice, once at a Bass Pro and once at a Dick's Sporting Goods. Both times, little kids showed up. I had replica jerseys made. I gave them out and signing stuff for no reason at all. I'm a nobody. I was just popular on TikTok. But to see those kids, and they're telling a story about how they met a famous fisherman for the rest of their life. And I'm not famous at all. When you lose that side of it, when you lose that wanting to talk to people and being presentable at the ramp, and really, I can't say that there's anybody in the top 10 cat fishermen in the country. I don't think any of them have gone that way. I think almost all of them, they'll talk to everybody at the ramp. They'll high five, and it's pretty crazy. I watched the very first year I started fishing the professional circuit, the nation circuit. There was a couple named Joe and Demetria Westbrook, two of the nicest people I've ever met, husband and wife couple. And I watched how they conducted themselves all year long while they were winning the series. And I was like, if I can get through my catfishing career and I can model those two, we'd be perfect. Every single video interview, they started out by thanking Jesus for the opportunity. And they closed with that. They were never ashamed to show their faith. They were never ashamed to tell people how they fish. Just two of the most down-to-earth people I've ever met. And I thought in my head that, I mean, that was my first experience with being on a big stage, you know. And I thought if I can go my entire career and I can put off that vibe right there, then at the end of this, I have done something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. It's funny. Everybody has a different fishing story on how they got into fishing. And mine is through uncles and things like that. But one of the biggest proponents of fishing for me was my mother. So it's always interesting because somewhere in the background, a lot of fishing ends up tying back to people's moms or grandmas or a lot of unexpected places where the bug is caught or encouraged. And it's always amazing to me how that happens. And little kids, you don't know their story, but when they meet you, and it's always fascinating that you can be a little part of their fishing history, so that's great.
Yeah, mine ties back to my grandma. Actually, before I started professionally catfishing, I had a ranger. And I was walleye fishing, and her and I. So I live in Central Ohio. Lake Erie is 2.5 hours away from me. I'm self-employed. I have an excavation company. Her and I, every single day. I'm not talking 3 days a week. I'm talking Monday through Sunday. We would wake up at 4 in the morning. We would drive to Lake Erie, catch our limit of walleye, come back, and I would go to work every day. Some of my favorite fishing memories. And I just started fishing with my kids this last year. I've got 3 girls, and I just started fishing with them. They just finally wanted to go fishing. I took them out to Hoover, and we had an unimaginable day. 250-pound fish in one day is unheard of on Hoover. My oldest daughter caught one, and I had my 2 oldest with me. And not 20 minutes later, my middle daughter caught one, and then I took grandma and the girls out, and everybody caught fish. So you're right. You never know what part of someone's story you're going to be. It's this last year, I got this overwhelming feeling that I needed to be more resourceful and more giving into the catfish community. So I personally bought several kayaks, and the kayaks we use, by the way, are not cheap. They're anywhere from $1,000 to $4,000 each. I bought 4 kayaks and I was giving them away to people. There's people who are fishing on the bank. They want to get out in the water. So we gave 2 away where we had like an online submission form. You tell me your story.
Mhm.
And then there was a panel of people that would read it and they picked the winners. And then we gave one away at an event. We gave one away at a show. Um, because I feel like let me back up for a second. Let me tell you what
Yeah.
Katyakers is real fast. Katyakers was founded by a guy named Austin and a guy named Josh. And just like everybody, Austin and Josh have a story. And their story, I'm not going to tell their story. It's theirs to tell. But it takes you back to two people that have seen the bottom, like they've been there. And then my story, my testimony to the Lord takes you back to the bottom. I mean, at one point in time in my life, I was on the couch and it was over and I was going to end it, and the Lord brought me through it. So when I met these guys and I heard their story, and Josh was like, Austin was in a bad spot. Josh and Austin are best friends. Austin was in a bad spot, and I'm talking to him on the phone, and I can't think of what to do to help him. I don't know what to do. And he said, man, I wrote Katyakers on a piece of paper. And then he's like, and after that, we thought of this dream of how can we help people who are struggling with mental health get out on the water? How can we help people who are in the bad spots in their life get out on the water? And it got me thinking, because the hard times of my life, I had 3 years of my life where I try not even to remember it. I wouldn't change it for the world. It made me who I am today. But the only thing that got me through those 3 years was fishing. So
Mhm.
when they told me the story of what they wanted Katyakers to be, I was all in. I don't care. The Lord has blessed me and my company, and we were doing extremely well. And I would put all the money I had into this trail to make it work for that opportunity, right? We want the low entry fee with the high payouts, because if nothing else, it gets the guy that's sitting on the couch contemplating ending his life out on the water.
Yeah, I just had a conversation the other day about fishing and how basically it's almost a spiritual thing when you go out and kind of becoming one with nature and getting back to letting everything else go, and you're just focusing on being in the moment and catching some fish and just enjoying whatever the day brings you. And that's certainly, I think it's helped a lot of people get through a lot of tough times. I know it has me personally, and it has a lot of the friends that I have and know. And that could be, back whenever I was a kid fishing from the bank in a pond versus, now the bass boat and all the other kind of stuff. But just being there makes a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the reason I set up extra kayaks. All of my buddies know if you're at a spot in life where Yeah, it's not even my buddies. Anybody, I told my entire testimony on my Facebook. It's like a 7-part video. I went through every hard thing that I went through, where I'm headed, where, I mean, I'm still not where I'm going. I don't know where the Lord's leading me, but I know He's leading me in the right direction. But I told my story, and I ended it with, if you're in that spot or you're in any kind of spot, fishing is a great release. You know, leave your phone in the truck, shut it off, jump in one of these kayaks. I have a boat. If you're scared to go in a kayak, we'll go out on the boat. It's my least favorite thing to do these days because I like my kayak, but you know, it's for me, fishing is a way to just start over. No matter what you're going to in life, leave your phone in the truck, and we got one worry. We got that line that needs to catch a fish. That's the only thing we're worried about. And if we don't catch a fish, we got away from the world for a couple hours.
Yeah, I agree.
That's amazing. It really is. But,
Yeah.
like, I'm kinda glad Kevin spoke up and said something because I was sitting here like, I'm not gonna, like, cry on the podcast.
No,
Look,
and that's the thing. Fishing is it can be something different for everyone, but man, somewhere deep down, there's a connection for everyone too. And I think
Uh-huh.
that's whether you be a bass guy or a catfish guy or a crappie guy, none of that really matters. You're a fishing guy or gal. And there's something about it that's just it's a different experience and it's very calming for me most of the time. It has its moments.
It gets hectic, and you ready to break off on a 5-pounder next to the boat, and all of a sudden it's not so
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but there's always something to learn about yourself, most importantly, and how you
Right.
deal with things. It's just always such a great learning tool for perspective. It gives you a lot of perspective on what is and isn't important in life and all sorts of other perspectives on what matter and what doesn't. I mean, you're out there with your girls and that's what matters, right? I mean,
Uh-huh.
the rest of it doesn't matter. I look forward to taking my granddaughter who's 2.5 now, but I'm looking forward to just taking her out and catching some bluegill or something and just getting that
Yeah.
just start the bug.
I was gonna ask you what the age range of your girls are because it's been a long time since I had young kids, and I'm thinking, like, how old is she gonna be before we can take her fishing?
Well, my oldest is 12. My kids haven't wanted to do it. They wanted to try hunting, so we tried that. They want to try a lot of things, but fishing was not on their they liked bait fishing. So when we go bait fishing, we catch bluegill and creek chubs, and they like that. It's fast paced. And
Yeah.
and I'm sure everybody listening to this has gone catfishing before and looked over at their buddy like, "Are we even going to catch anything?" That's catfishing. Thankfully, I've evolved a little bit from that, and a little better. I can read a graph a little better, so I don't have many of those days anymore. Um, it took them a long time to want to go catfishing. I tried and tried, and I honestly I had given up. You know, catfishing was what I went and did with my buddies, and I'm like, they'll go when they want to. And then my middle daughter asked one day, she said, "Can we go fishing?" And I don't remember what we were doing, but I know we had plans that day. And I was like, "Yep." And my wife goes, "What?" I said, "Dude, you cancel 'em. I don't care what they are. If it's not a funeral or a wedding, we're canceling 'em." And we went fishing, and we had such a good time. I mean, it was just the perfect night. We went in the evening. We got out there like 3 or 4 o'clock. I didn't have any bait or anything, so we had to get bait, throw a cast net for shad at the lake. And they were asking questions. I would catch the shad in the net. I'd dump them on the boat floor, and they'd pick them up. And I'm like, this is what it's about. You know, all these tournaments I fished, all the notoriety I gained, all the money I made didn't mean anything in that moment. When I'm watching my daughters pick shad up off the floor, I know grown men that don't pick up shad. And these girls are picking these shad up, you know, and we caught a saw guy in the net, and I'm showing it. And we obviously are not allowed to keep it. It's a game fish, but I'm showing them a saw guy, and they're blown away by the teeth. So I throw it back, and we caught a bass that day in the net. And I'm like, you know, they're so inquisitive. They want to know everything, you know, and I'm like, we need to get 10 bait fish. And I'm holding this bass, and I throw it back, and my oldest daughter's like, dude, I thought we were going to get to 10 and start fishing. I'm like, well, I can't keep out.
That's awesome. That it really is. This summer, I graduated high school before I went to college. Many, many nights, my father and I went to the Ohio River, which was a good hour, hour and a half from our house. And we're just out there all summer catfishing. And I think about that often. Like, I really do.
And
That
those
we
are the
were,
memories that I want with my girls. Like I said, they're not really into hunting. That was always my number one passion was hunting deer, ducks, turkeys. They're not really into that. So I'll tell you, I would absolutely fall over dead if they started kayak catfishing with me. We'll take the boat, but the second one of them goes, I want to try a kayak. As long as the water's 70 degrees and I know they'll be all right if they fall in, we're going to try it. That's the day I'm looking forward to. Deep down inside, That's why I own 2 kayaks. By the
That's
time
I
that
think it's going to happen.
oh, yeah, it'll happen.
I can't wait.
There are a lot of college and high school bass fishing teams now. Are there opportunities like that for young people? Like fishing teams with schools?
No, no, there's not, unfortunately. But if you remember Bass in the 90s and early 2000s, I mean, Bass exploded in the 90s, right? Like Bill
Mhm.
Dance turned Bass into a multi-billion-dollar business. Like once Bill Dance came on TV, Bass exploded. So we haven't had that explosion yet in catfishing. Every single day, catfish is growing. And again, I believe at this present time, catfish is for sure the fastest growing fishing sport in America. I full-hearted believe that. We haven't had that big explosion. We are starting to get $100,000 tournaments down in Mississippi, and then actually uh, Bill Dance has a lot to do with it. I don't know if he owns it, but we're seeing those big payouts now that bass have been seeing for a long time. Nobody is a millionaire from catfishing. I think there's a couple bass fishermen that have made it there. So we are in that stage of it's really starting to take off. We're starting to see the DNR give us more favorable regulations that are protecting the catfish. Forever, I mean, even when I was a kid, catfish were just seen as trash fish. Like, oh, I caught another channel cat today. I mean, I can remember walking down on lakes down by my house, and there'd be dead fish in dumpsters and on the bank because people just did not like it. They were like the carp of the, they're like the carp of the lake. They why can't we just shoot these with a bow? Which they actually, you guys, I think you guys can in Kentucky. You guys can still shoot catfish with a bow. Can't do it in Ohio. We see these DNRs starting to come around. Like so forever, DNR also didn't care about catfish. West Virginia was the first one to do it. They started protecting the catfish, and we saw this giant boom of catfish in the river in West Virginia. The state record in West Virginia gets broke every year because the population of catfish was so depleted, there just weren't any big fish there. But West Virginia started a restocking program, I don't know when, several years ago, and now the Kanawha River, the Ohio, east of the Kanawha River, all the way up into Pennsylvania, is some of the best catfishing that you find on the Ohio River, thanks to the guidelines West Virginia put in place all those years ago. So Ohio is now starting it. Kentucky just had a giant bust. I don't remember how many people where they had been watching these people illegally take catfish, hundreds of thousands of pounds of catfish taken from the river, sold to pay lakes. And they did an undercover operation, and they finally just posted some of the details from it. So we see these DNRs, we see all these states coming together to finally start putting regulations on catfish that will, in turn, as long as we can keep the populations up, we can protect these catfish. I see it being like bass one day. When my kids are my age or probably older, I can see there being the Bill Dance of catfishing out there somewhere. There's a lot of big names in catfishing. Tim Scott being one of them. I mean, the guy just catches giant fish, but we don't have the resources. We don't have the same sponsors that Bass has. For a guy to get a Toyota sponsorship and a Mercury sponsorship and a Ranger sponsorship as a catfisherman probably isn't going to happen. So as this keeps growing, as the conservation comes around, as these states start putting in regulations. Now, unfortunately, Northeast, Maryland, Virginia, those guys are going backwards. They're now paying people to kill catfish because I mean, it's a long story, but it's really because they're letting the commercial fishermen take all the menhaden, and because of that, all of the sport fish are leaving the bay, but they're saying the catfish are killing them all.
Hmm.
It's crazy what the DNR is saying. There's a lot of support on the catfishing side, but they are paying people to kill catfish over 40 inches.
That's not good.
It is not good. So
One of the places that catfish is booming as far as industry, I can say, is Santee Cooper Lakes in South Carolina. That place is like the catfish capital of the world, I think. It seems like it is actually bigger than bass fishing. They have the big pontoons and all that stuff, and they go out and do a lot of guided catfish trips. It's a big deal.
yeah, South Carolina is one of those states that's booming. Like it has always been that way. I mean, Santee Cooper Lakes goes all the way back to the early 70s, 1980s. We actually
Yeah.
all use a rig called the Santee Cooper rig. It's a way you tie your rig
Really?
up. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean it's just
Nice.
and any catfisherman in the country, when you think of catfishing, Santee Cooper is probably the most well-known place in the country for catfishing.
Yeah. I can believe it. I bass fish down there a lot, and it is catfish galore. A lot of it everywhere. Everybody catfishes. and they got a lot of catfish tournaments down there too. So it amazes me how much it's evolved over the past few years with the catfish boats and all that. Is it Sea Arc that makes
Sea
one
art.
like really cool looking thing? It's got like a forward full windshield, and it's
Yep.
got a lot of stuff going on in it. I was looking at that one day. That thing, it was impressive to
$100,000
me.
John boats. Did you ever imagine you'd see them?
No, but it doesn't surprise me. I'd buy one if I had $100,000 just for fun.
My buddy's got an 1860 fishing ski. One of the nicest riding boats I've
Mhm.
ever been in.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're a nice heavy good ride. That's for sure.
Every fisherman that comes on this podcast has had to answer this question, and I'm not sure how it's going to work with cat fishermen, but I guess it's the same. If you had to pick one lure or one bait, one color to fish with every day for the rest of your life, what would it be? And don't
You
say
don't
a
want me to.
bass.
It's not a bass, but you'd be really upset if I mean, there's gonna be bad fishermen that are upset if I say it. It's
Okay, don't say
my
it.
no, I got to.
Now you gotta say it.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, wait. Let's say artificial.
Well, there's no artificial bait for catfish that works.
right.
Okay. All right, just say it unless you don't want to say it.
He wants
It'd be
to just
crappie.
all right.
Okay.
Crappie
I
fish make
don't
you a
want
little
to make
upset
the
when you say
bass
that.
fisherman mad at the
Nah,
cat
that's not gonna
fisherman.
make any bass like, listen, bass love crappie too. They eat
I
the
know,
heck
but
out of them.
they might be jealous that they can't fish with them.
Yeah.
Only in tournaments, if you want to go fun fish with live
Yeah, I
bait,
was
you
gonna
can do
say,
that.
if you wanted to
I
go
get bass on
listen
bluegill all the time.
yeah, I was gonna say there's bass fishermen that fish with live bait, bluegill, and crappie down south all the time.
Oh, and
Mhm.
Bassmaster's the one who said you guys can't do it.
It's all good. I've caught a lot of bass on big crappie looking baits, and I've caught some big ones with crappie in their mouth where they're
Yeah.
eating them, and they eat some big crappie too.
That's a flathead catfish. I used to have a buddy who he was a smallmouth fisherman. He was did smallmouth fishing tournaments in creeks, and then he started catfishing with me. He said breaking a river down for smallmouth is no different than breaking a river down for flathead. He said, I'm telling you right now, in the same spots I catch smallmouth, there are flatheads in them all day long. And sure enough, we started
Yeah,
fishing like that and started hammering them.
yeah, I believe that. I catch a lot of catfish just bass fishing.
Yeah,
they,
they'll eat
they,
anything. There
yeah,
probably is something to using artificial bait for flatheads, especially in small rivers. Live bait is just hard for them to pass up. You throw a live shad that's wounded in front of them, or any live bluegill. I would honestly say my two favorite baits are. There's one lake where I don't use anything but crappie, but that's the only place I do it. Other than that, it's bluegill and shad.
yeah, yeah. They're like anything else. They love those forage fish.
They want the ones that school up and are relatively slow compared to a fish that's 40 inches long. A bluegill just ain't
Yeah,
getting away.
right.
There's a
They
little
can't eat 'em.
jig we fish with that
Oh,
everybody we fish with is familiar with it, but we catch a few catfish on that jig.
Quite a few. Yeah, they like a jig.
Yeah,
Catch them down south too
yeah.
on a jig
well,
or spinnerbait.
when I saw Matt Robinson out there in the lake with his cast net trying to find his $80 swim bait, he pulled that thing up. I'm like, oh, I could for sure drag that behind a planer board and catch catfish with it.
Oh
100%.
yeah,
Dude, I don't. It was just it looked so real. There's no way. I mean, the only thing you're missing for a catfish is the scent. But I
yeah,
just throw my bait cooler for a couple minutes. It'll come out stinking pretty good.
I
yeah.
mean,
I guarantee
there's
it.
lots of shad scented stuff you can put on
Yeah,
sprays, dips.
yeah. I'm sure the catfish guys use all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, we
They probably
actually
just use.
don't.
I mean, use live bait. So
We just use
no,
the real fish.
yeah,
Well,
just the
yeah,
real deal.
you don't have to buy the fake crap in a jar.
We don't need artificial scents when our scents are real life.
Yeah.
So before we get off, I do want to ask a question about the catching fish and selling them to pay lakes. I guess I didn't realize that was as big a thing as it is.
So actually, believe it or not, 99% of fishermen don't know about it. I would say 80% of fishermen that fish pay lakes don't know where the fish come from. I'm not gonna lie to you, that's where I got my start. My uncle, when I was a teenager, pay lakes have 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, these days 100-pound fish. So it's the chance to get off the school bus, jump in the car with your uncle, drive 20 minutes, boom, you're in a lake that has big fish in it. I had no idea where
Yeah.
the fish were coming from. On the Katyakers page, I actually share a page all the time called Exposing Pay Lakes. And it really just breaks down what is going on. So these guys will go out They'll catch hundreds of thousands of pounds of catfish a year. They'll bring them back. They'll sell them to these pay lakes at $3, $4, $5 a pound, whatever it is. And they just every week they're bringing in 2,000 or 3,000 pounds of fish into these lakes that are 6, 7 acres. At some point, you're just fish laying on top of fish, laying on top of fish with no bait in there. It's unregulated. They can get as many fish as they want. The regulation in Ohio is they can't take more than one 30-inch fish a day. But guess what? They can take one 30-inch fish a day. And they got these giant hoop nets that they put out in the river. They look like a hula hoop that has a big net coming off the back of them. They'll put bait in the bottom of it, be it shad, whatever, and they'll get 10, 20, 30 fish swim into this net. Well, it's like a minnow trap. They can't get out. They go and they pick up these nets. They dump all these fish in these big tanks. They take them. They put them in the back of the truck. They drive them all over the country. These people are single-handedly crushing fisheries. The Ohio River is nothing. We have tournaments where 200 boats will go out on the Ohio River, and we might see one or two 50-pound fish. And half the field won't even catch it.
Wow.
Yeah, so they have decimated our rivers. And now they're moving. Now they're going to the Mississippi River, and they're going to all these places. And these people are, oh, look at these hoop nets we saw. And like what they don't realize is like, you better get the government to put a stop to this right now, because use the Ohio River as an example. They will completely decimate your fish population. They don't care. It is 100% for profit. Could you imagine somebody going to the Ohio River, taking 700 bass out of there and taking them to some pond and selling them? The DNR would lose their mind.
Yeah, they would. Had no idea that that's where the pay catfish came from.
We need to end the podcast on a higher note than that. My goodness. I also wanted to, this isn't a high note either, but how do you think AI is going to affect the tournaments where you use the photo format? Is that a concern?
It is actually a concern. The developer that we're working with to make our app brought it up to me, and where it's a concern right now in a lot of these tournaments, Fish Donkey, Tourney X, those places, what some of the tournament directors are allowing people to do, instead of using your camera inside the app and taking a picture inside the app, because your phone catches all the metadata, it catches the GPS, the time, it catches all that, they're allowing people to use their phones, just the regular camera, take 4 or 5 pictures. One picture is probably never enough. You always need some extras. But what those apps haven't figured out how to do yet is to cancel out that AI portion, right? So somebody can take that picture in your phone, they can throw it into AI, make this fish 3 inches bigger, and when you upload it to Tourney X, they'll never know. So that's one reason why we're going away from that style app. And the developer that we're working with is working on a way to eliminate that. You got to find a way. And I think the best way to do it is stop letting people just use their phone camera. You need to take it in the app, because the app and the back data on all of those apps has a way to process, yes, the photo was taken in the camera setting with our app. Here's the GPS. Here's the time. I mean, you can get specific. It can tell you the weather in the area. Like, there are ways that the back systems on all of these apps can track all of that. But when you start allowing people to just take the pictures and submit them to the app, that's where it's going to start getting really hairy. AI is a great tool, but it is a really, really scary thing, especially in our world. And with this kind of money on the line, we have to guarantee to people that that's not happening. And the only way to do that is to redevelop these apps. Like, there has to be something, whether you're using other AI to catch AI or whatever it is. The most simple explanation is the first picture you take of your fish has to be submitted inside the app. And then if you want to take some extras in case the picture's no good, that's fine. But we'll be able to see everything in that first picture enough to know if you edited the picture with AI.
AI is really cool, but also you had talked about conservation. Have you read about how much water AI is using and how they're
these data centers
saying
is crazy?
It's going to create a problem, and I think that should concern fishermen also, because
the water's got to come from somewhere and go somewhere.
It's not going to be great, but we're going to have to end soon, and I want to end on a high note. So somebody think of something good to say about fishing.
So break down your schedule for us this year.
Okay, so our schedule, all of these lakes are local to Ohio. Just let me give you an overall view of the trail real fast. So the trail has a lot of sponsor money in it. What we've got going on this year is $2,000 added to every single event on the schedule. And then our Angler of the Year prize, which we haven't decided how we're going to divvy out first, second, third yet, that's to come, is going to be $7,500. And there's $5,000 added to the championship event. So what we've got is we open on April 11th at Rocky Fork State Park. That is a great channel cat fishery. Any bass fishermen that want to fish a catfish tournament, I would say come to that one because channel cats are easy to catch. It doesn't take much to catch channel cats. You can do it at your local lake. Bring some chicken liver, post up on the bank, you catch all the channel cats you ever want. After Rocky Fork, we go to Caesars Creek, which is a lake down south by Cincinnati. After West Virginia started stocking catfish, so did in Ohio. That's one of the lakes they started stocking. The fish aren't doing super great. I mean, they're 30 inches. They're fun to catch. We had a tournament down there last year. I caught 64 fish in 8 hours. It was a great, fun tournament. Just nothing huge. Sorry, I missed Hoover on April 25th. So Hoover is the staple of Ohio for catfishing. Hoover is the poster child for what Ohio was trying to do. They knew they couldn't control the rivers, so the DNR said, we'll control the lakes. No commercial fishing in the lake, and we'll start stocking blue cats in the lakes. And Hoover is their poster child for what can happen if you manage a catfishery correctly. It's phenomenal.
And where is Hoover?
Hoover is dead center in Ohio, and it's in Westerville, just north of Columbus. It's a phenomenal lake. After that, 2 times in a row, we go to Sandusky. Sandusky is a national staple in catfishing. There are not very many places you can catch a multiple 20-pound fish. Channel cats. I mean, a 20-pound channel cat fights like a 60-pound blue cat. Pound for pound, out of all the fish I've ever fished for in my life, other than stuff in the ocean, a channel cat fights harder pound for pound. Then we go to a little small local lake here, Deer Creek. It's all small channel cats. It's really a joke that we put it on there. We've always, any tournament trail I've ever been a part of, we've always had a tournament at Deer Creek. It's fun. You catch a lot of fish. They're just 8 pounds. We go to Seneca after that. Seneca's kind of like, it's just like Caesars Creek where they've been stocking a bunch of blue cats. There's a lot of them in there. I caught a lot of them that were only like 22 inches. I was actually aggravated with it. But the other thing with Seneca is they've had giant flatheads in there for 20 years. So
yeah,
the people who like to fish Seneca, they like to chase those flatheads. The event that I'm most excited for this year, it's the weekend of August 7th. We have a 48-hour All-Ohio tournament. So any water that you can fish on an Ohio license, you're allowed to fish in this tournament. And it's your biggest flathead, biggest blue cat, your biggest channel cat. What that's going to do, it's going to force people to bounce water to water. We don't have very many places in the state of Ohio where you catch all 3 at once. And then we round our season out on the rivers. We go to the Scioto River, then we go to the Ohio River, and then our championship is unique. Nobody knows where the championship is until the top 15 anglers in the Angler of the Year race finish the year. The trail takes those guys all out to dinner. We pay for the dinner. They get a hat and a hoodie for making the top 15 Angler of the Year. That's also when we pay out the Angler of the Year prizes. And then those 15 people vote on where the championship is.
Oh, wow.
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, I like that. That's a neat idea.
That is a neat idea.
Yeah, I like that.
That sounds so much fun.
Julie might be sold on the catfish.
Get some tarps to put down on your boat, and you'll be good.
There we go.
You don't need the tarps, though, or it'll be slimy.
Yeah, it definitely will be.
So do you care if we check back in with you once tournament season starts, or if you
No, absolutely.
have anything?
Yeah, something big happens. Breaking news for the Katyakers of Ohio. Definitely reach out to us. We'd love to hear and keep up with it.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty close to Ohio, so it's within the area. So if anything cool happens you want to tell us about or anything, holler at us. And otherwise, we'll be reaching out to you some point in the season to find out how things are going.
Yeah, we love it. We'll put it on the calendar now to check back.
And if you guys want to fish any of them, I know your boat's too nice. I have a boat. You're more than welcome to come use it for one of the tournaments.
Well,
I can show you how to use it.
That.
That's what we do. I just let people use all my stuff.
Well, Corey, thanks a bunch. We really appreciate it, man. It's been great talking to you. I love the kayak tournament series you got going, or Katyakers, Katyakers tournament trail, Katyakers of Ohio tournament trail. Yeah, we got it. But I do love it. Like, it's cool.
It's very interesting. I'm glad you talked to us.
Yeah, great payouts. Look forward to hearing from you later on and see how things are going.
I think people are going to find this very interesting.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It's cool. I love it.
Yeah.
So I would love to see some of the bass guys come out, and I got extra kayaks and I got an extra boat. If any of these bass guys that listen to your podcast want to try it, I'll set them up. I mean, to get bass fishermen into catfishing, I would probably not fish and go with them and show them how to do it.
They might surprise you. Well, Corey, we'll let you go.
Thank you for letting me come on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you.
No problem. We'll see you.
Bye. That was cool.
That was cool.